Crown Splitter is a devastating power sword for Titans, which has some of the best DPS in Season of the Splicer. Well, today I'm going to have a look at the Crown Splitter stats, the best roles for PvE, plus how to get the weapon. I'll also be putting together a build for Crown Splitter for endgame PvE content, so that's going to turn your Titan into a sword-wielding, devastating machine. Well, if you're new around here or find this useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. Well, Crown Splitter is a legendary Titan power sword. It's got an aggressive frame where you can launch a heavy slam attack, and heavy attacks are stronger with full energy. So looking at the stats, you've got a swing speed of 10, impact of 72, 60 for range, 10 for efficiency, 50 for defense. It's got a charge rate of 30 and 48 for ammo capacity. Well, for PvE, Jagged Edge, Heavy Guard, Relentless Strikes, and Vorpal Weapon to be really good. So Jagged Edge increases the damage output, whereas Heavy Guard bolsters your defenses. Relentless Strikes grants sword ammo with 3 light attacks and Vorpal Weapon, well, that increases the damage against bosses. Well, next up, let's have a look at how to get Crown Splitter in Destiny 2. So Crown Splitter is part of the world pool in Season of the Splicer, and you do have to be on your Titan class to get this drop for you, given it is a class-specific weapon. So this one can drop from Strikes, Crucible, Gambit, the Override activity, and also the End of Nightfalls, plus also leveling up at the Gunsmith and opening engrams, and it pretty much drops anywhere, but it is all down to RNG. Well, next up, let's have a look at how to make Crown Splitter even better. So Lucent Blade is a charge with light mod, and increases the damage of your sword when you're charged with light. So you don't have to use something like taking charge to get charged with light, and the description for Lucent Blade reads as follows. So while charged with light, dealing damage with the sword gives you bonus sword damage for 5 seconds, consuming 1 stack of charged with light. So when charged with light, you are going to get a 15% increase to the damage of your sword, meaning those heavy attacks are going to easily take out champions and bosses, especially if you've got Vorpal Weapon on there too. Well, that is a little bit about the stats, how to get the Crown Splitter, and also the Lucent Blade mod. But next up, let's have a look at a Crown Splitter and Stronghold Titan build, and that is going to turn you into a sword-wielding machine for endgame PvE. This one's really good for Nightfalls and also Legend and Master Lost sectors too. So I'm going to be using a Void theme for the build, and this is going to run through the subclass, the weapons, and that's because I'm going to be utilising the Elemental Well mods. I'm going to be using Crown Splitter paired with Stronghold, and those are exotic Titan gauntlets. So first up for the subclass, I'm going to be using the Code of Protector, which is Top Tree Void Titan. So this one comes with Defensive Strike, where you defeat an enemy with a melee ability to create an overshield around you, and also your nearby allies. And Final Blows grant melee energy when the overshield is active. We've also got Rallying Force, so melee kills restore health for you and your nearby allies. And we've got Turn the Tide, so your overshield from defensive strikes lasts longer and increases melee damage and also your reload speed too. Finally, and probably most importantly, we've got the Ward of Dawn. So when super energy is full, create an indestructible dome to protect you and your allies, and passing through Ward of Dawn grants you and your allies temporary increase to weapon damage. So the Ward of Dawn really comes in useful here when you get in a tight spot and you need a bubble, and defensive strike is also good for that overshield generation. Well, next up, let's have a look at the exotic armor for the build. I'm going to be using Stronghold. This is a great set of exotic gloves for the Titan if you really like using swords. So this one comes with a perk called Clenched Fist, maximizes guard stats on equipped sword, and shots blocked immediately after guarding will heal you. Well, this is great because essentially you have unlimited guard when you wear the Titan gloves. This provides protection to you, your teammates, and it allows you to run around slicing and chopping your enemies at will. Well, next up, let's have a look at the other weapons for the build. So in my kinetic slot, I'm using Witherhoard. So this one is an exotic grenade launcher, and it comes with Primeval Torment. So projectiles fired by this weapon light the target or nearby area on impact, and it also comes with Break the Bank 2. So blighted targets take more damage over time and blight the nearby area on death. So this one is going to be super useful with the Breach and Clear mod, and that one can be found on your seasonal artifact. The damage over time is great for clearing out smaller enemies, plus you get a really good amount of DPS for direct hits with the Witherhoard. So what you want to do with the Witherhoard really is soften up all of your enemies, then you want to run in there with your Crown Splitter, chopping them up and finishing them off where you can. Well, next up, let's have a look at the energy weapon. I'm using Gnawing Hunger. So Gnawing Hunger is a void energy auto rifle. I've also got a roll here with Rampage, and it comes in really handy for that extra damage. And finally, for the power weapon, I'm using Crown Splitter. So it's a really powerful sword, as I mentioned already in this guide. This is a class-specific sword, plus I've got a roll with Vorpal Weapon, meaning big damage against bosses. So, as I mentioned before, pair this with Lucent Blade, the Charge with Light mod. That's going to give you 15% extra damage to your swords. It's going to come in really handy taking out enemies and champions in Nightfalls or Legend and Master Lost sectors. Well, I've had a look at the subclass, the armor and the weapons. Finally today, let's have a look at the mods. So I'm using the Elemental Well mods. So Elemental Charge, so become Charged with Light by picking up an Elemental Well. And if the Elemental Well's type matches your subclass element, you gain 2 stacks of Charged with Light. And that's why I'm using Void weapons with my Void subclass here, so I get those 2 stacks of Charged with Light to power up Lucent Blade. I'm also using Elemental Ordnance, so defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an Elemental Well that matches your subclass energy type. I'm using Font of Wisdom, so picking up an Elemental Well that matches your subclass energy grants you a temporary significant increase to your intellect, improving the recharge rate of your super. And it gives you a plus 50 intellect boost for 30 seconds, so this one's really going to boost your super regeneration significantly. So I'm using Lucent Blade, so it gives you that 15% extra for sword damage, and I'm also using Sword Reserves, so that one increases the amount of sword ammo that you can carry. Finally, I'm using Breach and Clear, so when using a grenade launcher, damaging a boss, or damaging a champion, or breaking a combatant's shields, it reloads your stowed weapons and causes the combatant to take increased damage for a short duration. So basically what you want to do is soften up all your enemies, then go in there with your heavy power sword, slice them up and finish them off. Well, let me know down in the comments what you think of the Crown Splitter, plus if you've got any good build tips, let us know and share them with the community down below. Well, that is it for this guide for how to get the Crown Splitter in Destiny 2, and as always, thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next video.
But be careful, Sabaton will be watching.
I suspect she's been watching for quite some time.
She best not watch me. I will spot her like Soraya's